So the time is almost upon us. The greatest fight card in my lifetime takes place this weekend, with the main event being the rematch for the Undisputed Crowns in the light heavyweight division. The rematch between Dimitri Bivol and Artur Beterbiev. It is going to be an absolute barnstormer. Well, barnstormer or an absolute technical masterclass. I think it'll be more like that than a barnstormer. But I mean, this is a very, very special fight, and it's almost being a little bit overlooked when you look at the co-main and a few of the other fights on the undercard, like Buatsi Smith and Madrimov versus Virgil Ortiz. There's some big fights, obviously, on the rest of the card, but even though this is the main event, I almost feel like this is being a little bit overlooked. I feel like people aren't giving it the credit it's deserved, especially on the casual sort of side of boxing, the more mainstream sort of vibe. But if you're the hardcore boxing fan, and obviously if you watch the first fight, you know this is it was so special, the first fight. It was just two of the best, two of the pound for pound best fighters on the planet fighting each other, and the two best of their generation fighting each other in the light heavyweight division. It was so close. Really, really close and tactical fight throughout. Obviously, actually, I don't know if you know this, I scored the fight initially to Dimitri Bivol when watching it live. I mean, it was such a close fight, and you could go rounds either way. I was never going to complain at the scorecards if it went either way. Obviously, it went to Beterbiev's favour. Hey, I was never going to complain at that, because as soon as the fight had finished, before I'd heard any result, the first things I said is I need to see it again, because it was such a special fight to watch in many different ways than other fights. Obviously, when you go, I want to see it again, is most of the time is because it was an absolute war, or maybe there was a bit of controversy. There was never going to be controversy in that fight because of how close it was. It was always going to be a really, really close fight on the judges' scorecards. I'm just glad I was I was alive to be able to see that, because, like I said, two of the very best to, well, in this day and age, to go at it, luckily being in the same division, going for undisputed, and then we get to see it again 4 months later. Yes, there's no faffing around. We're not waiting a year. We're not waiting 2 years, and it's not down the line. We've not had fights in between. We are getting this back to back 4 months later after the first fight, and I am absolutely buzzing. It is headlining, like I said, the greatest card in my lifetime, and I absolutely can't wait for it. I mean, trying to think back to the first fight, it was very close early on, but I felt like Bivol was definitely the one who started the quicker of the two, and I feel like he was getting a lot more rounds in early on. But what I do remember is I felt like the last 3 rounds almost, I wouldn't say gave it away, because Beterbiev was on that front foot pressure. This is what I was remembering of the fight. I've not actually watched it back since, because I don't really like to tend to watch fights back, really. I kind of like to watch it and score it how it is, because I feel like sometimes when you watch things back and you already know the result, it kind of it changes your judgment, should I say. So I kind of like watching it, trying to score it as best as possible, and when what you get, or what I get, is what I get, and it's simple as that. But what I do remember is Artur Beterbiev finished that fight strong, and when it's a close fight like that, you can see why the judges scored it in his favour, because he probably won, if not all three, definitely 2 of the 3 rounds in the final 3. He was constantly on that front foot pressure and backing up Dimitri Bivol, and it almost seemed like Dimitri Bivol's gas tank, maybe he couldn't quite get those 12 rounds through on that, how he does on his very amazing style of being on his toes and punching at the same time. Absolutely fantastic style, but it didn't look like he was able to do it for the full 12 rounds. So that's going to be a massive factor going into the second fight, and obviously we're going to speak about that in just a second. But yeah, first fight, fantastic, really close. You can see how it could have gone either way. We get it again, and now I suppose we're going to talk about how each fighter is going to change their approach. Is there going to be a different outcome? Is it going to be a similar sort of fight? Well, let's find out. Well, I suppose we are going to find out, but let's dissect on how it could go. First of all, on the champion side, not Dimitri Bivol, Artur Beterbiev, do I think he's going to change his style and his approach to the fight? I don't know. I don't think he will because he won the fight. Really, not really. He did win the fight. He won the fight the way he boxed. So why should he change it? But maybe he will be a little bit more aggressive early on because I feel like there was clearly stuff left over in the tank being able to push that much in the championship round. So maybe he'll start a little bit quicker. Maybe not give away as many rounds to Dimitri Bivol early on. And that could play a massive factor going later on if he's still able to keep up the same sort of pressure as we saw last time out. That could be a major factor maybe if he starts a little bit quicker. And of course, it's a very quick turnaround for Artur Beterbiev. Over the last few years, there's been big layoffs and there's been injuries. This time, there's no injuries, no layoffs. He's straight back into it. Obviously, at his age and after all those injuries, this could be very good for him. It could be because he's staying sharp and there's going to be very little drop off in performance. And I know sometimes in boxing, you get it overnight like that. Father Time catches up with you. But the fact that it's so quick after the first fight, I don't think we will see anything negative on Beterbiev's side. But I suppose you could be devil's advocate and say, well, maybe at that age and after all those injuries, maybe it would be best to take a little bit of rest to let the body recover and then go and smash another training camp. But I suppose we'll see, and we'll see if it does take any effect in positively or negatively in the fight itself. But I do think it'll be a similar approach for Artur Beterbiev in general. Maybe starts a little bit faster and maybe tries to get Bivol out late because, when it's close, but if it's as close as it was the first time, we could have a decision that could go either way again. So maybe he wants to take the judges out of it and maybe he can do just that because I feel like Dimitri Bivol maybe a bit of an opposite approach, maybe try and conserve a little bit of energy, or maybe he's going to get himself into superior condition and he's going to be able to do his style for 12 rounds because, like I said, definitely slowed down in the end of that fight. So is he going to start a little bit slower, try and conserve a little bit of energy, but still try to move his way around the ring to get those early rounds? Because you don't want to let rounds slip against Beterbiev because it's not like he's just a power puncher. He has got very high IQ, very good boxing ability, and obviously that was shown in the first fight, both of them showing their boxing brains and their ability to adapt to scenarios. I thought they were fantastic in that aspect, but yeah, Bivol, for him, obviously coming off his first defeat of his career, he's going to have that bit between his teeth, and it does sound like he is very excited to try and get the opportunity to get his win back and get that one, get the revenge. I feel like there's a little bit of something behind it, so maybe that's spurring it on, give him that extra boost in training camp to be able to push out those runs or try a little bit harder, go a little bit harder in on the pads or in sparring, and maybe we'll see in this fight he might be a little bit better shape for the championship rounds. We'll see. We will see, and I suppose that is what it is. We will see, but just trying to go off a general basis, that's what I feel like he will. He might start a little bit slower, maybe try and take those middle rounds. It might be a little bit cagey early on. Could be, depending on how Beterbiev comes out. If Beterbiev wants it early on, it won't be cagey because we know how hard Beterbiev hits, and then obviously Bivol's not going to be a sitting duck, that's for sure. He'll be moving and on his feet. It could completely change the outcome of the fight and the way the fight goes. But I just think it's just so intriguing because it could go either way, but it not just in sort of results. It's just like in the fight, it could go either way. It could be a boxing masterclass from Bivol, which I thought it was really for majority of that first fight until the latter stages. Is he going to be able to keep it going? Maybe we'll see. I kind of hope he does. I wouldn't mind seeing this for a third time because I just think when you see greatness over and over again, can you complain? For me, I can't complain one bit. I think I want to see these guys fight as many times as possible. Obviously, we know that's not going to happen because obviously Beterbiev is getting on a bit, and that's not how boxing work. We can't just keep repeating fights. But yeah, I think it's a very good main event. I can't wait to watch it. I'm intrigued from minute one. I'll be locked in, loaded on the live stream. Don't forget, we are doing a live stream. We'll be there the earliest possible time. I'm not sure when they kick off. But yeah, I can't wait to watch the main event and the rest of this card. We'll be doing a little video about the rest of the card. Obviously, we are doing videos, 2 big videos on the main and the co-main, and we're going to do probably a little short on the rest or the predictions and a little quick breakdown of each fight as well. So tune out to that. Tune in to that. That should be probably on Saturday morning on the Combat Corner, somewhere on the shorts, and then obviously we got the stream later on in the afternoon. So keep an eye out for that. But obviously, we've done the breakdown of potentially what could happen, how it could go. I don't really know. It's so hard to call, but we have got to make our prediction. And my prediction for this main event, the last crescendo, the rematch for the Undisputed titles, is Artur Beterbiev by stoppage. Oh, I have literally just changed my mind as soon as I said that. It was Bivol points, but my locked in prediction, we're locking it in. Boom. Artur Beterbiev by stoppage. Got it on camera now. We can't go back. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Let me know your thoughts down below on the main event and all the other fights. Drop predictions, drop the comment, and drop your thoughts on this fight, and I'll see you on the next one.